In the previous video, I discussed how energy is very expensive in the spiritual realm. That just how in the 3D realm, in this earthly realm, we have money as a sign of currency, right? Something that we need. So in the spiritual realm, the most expensive form of currency is energy. Hence why there's so much organized crimes, organized secret societies, worshiping of satanic believers, and things like that. All of this coincides with our energy, right? And usually, when we're looking at these events, when we're looking at who is affected by these practices, by the harvesting of energy, by the human sacrifices that are being performed, right? And how people are being actively set up to be a sacrifice, to be exchanged for fame, fortune, wealth type of scenario, right? And if we look at it, we can see the types of people who are being affected by this. It's not going to be, and you could call me out on this if you have something different to say, but usually these are people who are pure. And when I say pure, I don't mean perfect, okay? Purity, like they are good human beings. Usually we see that this is happening on children. A lot of children are being molested. A lot of children are being sold, right? And sometimes, like with my case, where I was molested from a very young age, right? And so this too is a form of energy harvesting, because what these demonic entities need is energy, and they need purity because they lack that, right? Because if they inhabit a vessel, they can't, once they get to that vessel, they inhabit that vessel, that means that that vessel had to be operating at a low vibration, right? So as if they go ahead and they inhabit that vessel, whatever is left in that vessel that is good is going to be used up by that entity, right? So that entity is going to need to feed you. Just like how we need food, the entity needs energy, right? And so when it comes, just like there's like high rank and low rank, let's say like in the army or something like that, right? This happens in the spiritual realm too, right? We have high rank and low rank, and we have that in the demonic side of the spiritual realm, and we have that in the divine side of the spiritual realm. Does that make sense? Right? So in order for a high rank demonic force to inhabit our vessel, that vessel that is inhabiting it has to be high ranked as well, right? And so we are not taught these things. We're not taught these things, right? And so the same way that these entities are able to body jump, right, and go hopping from vessel to vessel, right? Not all vessels are the same, right? So that's why some people are affected from a very young age. They're like poked and poked and poked and poked to see if they give up their moral compass. And when I say moral compass, I don't mean that we're perfect, right? I don't mean that we don't make mistakes. I don't mean that we have never gone into things because like myself, I was in addictions. I was not so celibate at some point, right? But there's something about me that I don't give up my soul. I know there's a God. I believe in God. I believe in being good. I believe in being a good person, just because that's just who I am. Like, I don't need to be a diabolical fuck because things are going on with me. I can be a good human being, and forgive me for cursing, ancestors. I'm trying. So, moving on. The purpose of the message is to bring out awareness about these things that are happening, right? And how these crimes are more than just people just being diabolical, right? This is a business of energy harvesting for these diabolical entities, and some people are very much aware of this. At a lower level, when it comes to these things, where it comes to these secret societies and people are joining in and thinking that they're doing something good for themselves and humanity, they are not able to see what's happening at a higher level. You understand what I'm saying? At a lower level, you're not shown that at a higher level, people are being trafficked, humans are being sacrificed, children are being basically slaughtered type of scenario. And then the other portion about this is that it has become so organized, right? That certain families, this is what they practice. They practice human sacrifices for gains, for wealth, for fame, for fortune, right? And so what they do is that they usually in the bloodline, there'll be someone who is like a gift from God, literally, who is innocent, who is pure, not perfect again, but with good intentions, not like the rest of them. And they usually have these sacrifices that are planned, like maybe let's say like every 10 years somebody needs to die in the bloodline. Usually is the light, like the person that is of good heart, of good character, right? And this is planned. This is what they do. And so what they do is that they do these insurance scams where they will set up, like they'll have a $1 billion policy or $1 million policy type of scenario, right? Where they have been paying for it over time. And so as they pay for this insurance, life insurance over time, they are out here causing pain for this other person. And they do this by, breaking up the psychic. This person usually gets molested a lot. They get slandered, belittled, abandoned, mistreated, neglected. The reason being that they're being set up to be a sacrifice. Okay? It's all odds are put against them so that this happens. And so as a person gets older, the person doesn't die, these people in the spiritual realm, they know each other, so they'll go ahead and organize for this person to be kidnapped, for this person to be sex trafficked, for this person to be unalived, right? And so what happens here is that usually these things work. It works on regular human beings. It works. And then there are some of us who have been placed in these bloodlines for these specific reasons, to stop this, because it's unhuman. You understand what I'm saying? It's unhuman for somebody to go through all of that just because certain people want fame, money, and fortune. And what happens is that everybody in the bloodline is in cahoots because they're all diabolical and worship Satan and stuff, except the person who was kind, nice and loving and all that good stuff. They are unaware of this. So when this happens, if the person is not spiritually awoken, these things usually work. So I speak on this because I've gone through it, right? And one of the things that they do is that they attack all areas of your life. They attack your finances, your personal relationships, your intimate relationships, everything, wherever you live, wherever you work, although your basic needs, so that if they're unable to take you out, you go crazy, right? So I'll be back with part 3.